we're going to install the Twitter DJ application, which allows you to do live updates from the Native Instruments Traktor Pro application. For this, we're going to assume you already have Traktor Pro configured and installed correctly, along with Xcode 3.1 on Leopard or 3.2 on Snow Leopard. These installations can be found on your installation disk provided with your hardware or downloaded from apple.com. So the first thing we want to do is get the Mac ports. So we go to macports.org and we download it from there. Once we have it, it's a simple installation package, and we just run through the installation and install to default locations. This installation will require you to have your administrator password too as well, so get that ready. So we just finish up the installation, and the next portion will require you to use the terminal. So you can actually start that up if you're ready to as well. So we'll just wait for the installation scripts to finish here, and we installed successfully. So the first thing we want to do is to update all the ports to make sure we have the latest versions of everything. And this is done with a sudo command and port-v self update. This will take time depending on how many things needed to be updated. Mine is up to date, so it should be pretty quick. So there, we're done. And at this point now we can install the Icecast server, and we use the sudo command again and port install Icecast 2. So while this is downloading and configuring everything, what we can do is we can install or make sure our Twitter DJ application is installed too as well. So what we want to do is just run through the normal installer as usual. It's going to install it to the default location, which is the hard drive and the applications folder. This will require your password, and it'll just write the files and finish up. So now we actually have the Icecast server installed too as well. At this point, to make the Icecast server function correctly, we have to do a couple things. And the first thing is we have to create a log directory for this to run. So we're going to do a sudo and then make dir, and the options we're going to use is opt local var log icecast. Now that that's done, we actually have to create some files for the Icecast server. So what we want to do is again sudo, and we're going to opt local var log icecast, and then it's going to be access.log, and then we'll do the same thing, except it's going to be called error.log. So now we have to give the system the ability to write to these files. So we're going to do a sudo chmod -r 775 opt local var log icecast. Now we're ready to configure the Icecast server, and what we want to do is use a text editor. I'm going to use the VI editor because that's quicker for me, but you can use any other editor like Pico or TextEdit. So I'm going to do a sudo VI, and then the file I want to change is opt local etc icecast XML. So this is just an XML file that is used for configuring and loading up the Icecast server locally. The things we want to change in here is the passwords. If you notice, it's actually listed as hackme. So what I'm going to do is a substitution. So I'm going to call it just new pass, and I'm going to change that for both the username and the relay login, just to make it secure, as well as the administration portion here. At this point, I'm going to leave everything else as defaults. There's nothing else you really need to change a whole lot here. It's just going to run on the local loopback and on port 8000, which is the standard default. So I'm going to save and close this file, and I'm done with that. So now with the Twitter started, we can go to our applications and start up the Twitter DJ application. In here we have to do some configuration too as well for the first time. We want to open it the preferences from our application here can be either done from the icon on the taskbar or under File, under DJ Twitter. And this is our preferences pane. So we have our IceCast server. We want to tell it to start the local server. Our updates are every 5 seconds. And again, the 127.0.0.1 and the port 8000 are the standard defaults. Under the Twitter tab, we now want to set the Twitter to active or make sure it's active. And under here, we can either authenticate or request a new token, and this will allow you to give access to the application to update to Twitter. So what we'll do here is we would normally put in our Twitter account information, being our username and our password, and allow the application. Once you've done this, it'll give you a PIN number, which goes into the PIN box up here, and then you hit authorize and it saves it all to your keychain. So once that's done, you can also use the test button, which will then just send a message to Twitter, and you can check on Twitter to make sure it went through correctly. So with that done, we're going to close this for a second and quit it, and start up Tractor and do the Tractor configuration. So under Tractor here, we'll go to our preferences, and we look under the broadcasting section. We want to make sure we use a direct connection, no proxy. Our IP address is set to 127.0.0.1 on port 8000. These are the standards. We can set the mount path as stream.ogg, and we'll set our password to what password we just set for the Twitter application. We're also going to set the stream rate down to the lowest amount, being 32 kilobits, because we're only interested in the track information and not the actual audio stream. You can make any of the other settings below too. I'm going to leave them as default, and we're going to close that. So now at this point, what we're going to do is we're going to start up our Twitter DJ application too as well. If you have a location that's defined in here, it will send the update when you hit the start button. If there's nothing defined in the location, then the first track is the first thing that gets sent to Twitter. So at this point, we're going to come back to Tractor, and we're going to start the audio recorder being the streaming section. And you'll know this is working properly if our button goes to a solid color. So right now we're going to load up some tracks onto the tables, and we'll just throw in a couple tracks here, and we'll get this started. So what we want to do is we're going to hit start, so it'll start looking for the track names. We can come back to Tractor, and we can just let it do whatever. Oops, this. So right now we're just waiting. You can queue up some tracks. It'll wait about 30 seconds before it actually starts updating the track names. This is a function of Tractor. So right now you can see that we've already gotten the track info for the first track that's been playing, and that should have been sent up to Twitter. And we'll start up the second track on table B right now. And we'll just wait for this one to come back out too. And there we go, we can see it's already pulled the track for Ambivalent Team. And that's pretty much the setup. If you want to send only various track updates, you can do this by using the tweet track, which will send the track information. So what I would suggest under the Twitter application is you don't actively send all the Twitter updates, and you just run it as normal, and then when you want to set the track up, you would just say tweet track. You can also set the custom message, which will be seen before the track name being the track name and the artist name, as well as you can send Twitter updates directly from the interface here too as well. So play around with it and enjoy. Thanks.